Hey guys, what's going on? This is RJ Game News USA, and today we're going to cover a very important update in the NFL, and that is John Harbaugh has allegedly been hired by the New York Football Giants to be their next head coach. I got a lot to say about this, so please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And let's just jump right into this. So first of all, this is being reported by Adam Schefter. There's multiple reports that this is true, that they're just finalizing the exact number, that they didn't let him leave the building the other day. He didn't end up going to Atlanta and interviewing, as far as I understand. And the Giants offered him the job, and it seems like he has taken the job. There's just some finer details to work out. But it's being reported in multiple places, so I feel confident in saying that I'm going to go ahead and report it myself as well. And so that leaves a very interesting question. We're going to look at it from the Harbaugh side of things first, and then we'll look at it from the Giants side of things, and we'll see what Harbaugh's thinking. So, from the Harbaugh side of things, let's look at what jobs were open. And we'll just simply do, was the Giants a better job than this? And why? So, you had the Giants versus the Browns. Well, the Browns have an anemic offense and horrible ownership. Giants was the better job. You had, obviously he can't go for his old Ravens job they just fired him from. That's actually the best job, ironically, even though he's the best coach. Then there was the Steelers. Again, they don't really have the draft picks. They don't really have the immediate success possible there in that building, I don't believe. I think Harbaugh and Steelers would have been an interesting concept, but I think the Giants' job's actually better right now. They have more pieces in place. Then there was the Dolphins. We thought, well, maybe he was going to the Dolphins because they let go of Mike McDaniel after there was a rumored seventh team that didn't let go of their coach yet, asking about Harbaugh. And I kicked the tires on that one, and no, it's not a better job. Yeah, you get no state income tax, but you have a horrible quarterback situation and a horrible cap situation because of Tua. And I just don't think Harbaugh can buy into Tua as the quarterback if he's a smart man. Plus, you have to deal with Drake May and Josh Allen in the division. And that's the thing about dealing with the division. A lot of these coaches don't care about that. I do factor that in. And that's one of the reasons why I think the Raiders is not the best job. And I think the Raiders is not a better job than the Giants' job either. Because even though you do have Brock Bowers, you do have Max Crosby that you could either use to trade for pieces, and you do have the number one overall pick to draft Fernando Mendoza, and hopefully a little bit of a runway if the Raiders don't keep firing their coach after a year, then it would seem like the Raiders is a better job. But then you look around and remember, oh yeah, they play the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Chargers in their division. So that's a no-go for me. If I was Harbaugh and I have my pick of the litter. So I still favor the Giants. So then you're looking around at, okay, what about the Titans? Well, again, Jackson Dart looks like he's better than Cam Ward. They have more pieces on the Giants, which we'll get to here in a minute. The Giants' job is better. Okay? What other jobs were open? There was the Cardinals. Again, quarterback situation in flux with Kyler Murray. Jackson Dart seems better. All right. Who else? What about those Falcons? Well, they are in a weak division. They do win 7 or 8 games a year, despite not sure who their quarterback is. You get to play in a dome in nice, controlled environments. What's not to love? Well, again, I think the Giants are just simply better. I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. So, who else does that leave? Well, I think I named all the vacancies. And really, considering the fact the Bengals decided to keep Zach Taylor, which was stupid, and the Jets decided to keep Aaron Glenn, which is stupid, you had all those draft picks there. You had Burrow in Cincinnati, but those jobs aren't open. Tampa decided to keep their coach, which is stupid. So we had 3 franchises keep their coach that should have fired their coach. And we also had the Packers who decided to keep Matt LaFleur. And since the Bills won their playoff game, seems like the hot seat is off of Sean McDermott. And when it comes to Nick Sirianni in Philly, that sounds like a next year discussion, which Mike Tomlin could get into, has a possibility. And it would be interesting to see Tomlin versus Harbaugh, NFC East edition, Giants versus Eagles, down the road, possibly. If the Eagles were to shit the bed next year and Sirianni gets the can and then they bring in Tomlin. Because Tomlin has to take at least a year off, probably 2, to get past where his rights aren't guaranteed by the Steelers anymore. But, of course, it could be a Sean Payton situation where compensation is offered. And like I said, the Ravens is the best job on the market, but that's where Harbaugh came from. So, automatically, to me, the Giants are the second best job. Why? They do have a ferocious pass rush. They do have some high draft picks. They do have some cap space. They seem interested in wanting to build with a long-term coach now going into this season. Seems that way. The organization, the ownership isn't a total dumpster fire failure. It's not the greatest either. They're willing to give Harbaugh anything he wants, essentially. And when you look at the offense, you got Cam Skattebo there, you got Malik Neighbors, and you got Jackson Dart. And those 3 players have shown some promise. Can they stay healthy is the question. You're going to have to invest in the offensive line heavily, though. That is where the bread will be made for the Giants next season. If they could get some good free agents for the offensive line and or the draft as well, that will help the Giants' chances significantly, because I think we could see a big turnaround there. We've seen when you get the quarterback and the coach right, that you could have quick turnarounds and you could end up, doing crazy things like winning your division. And I don't consider it off the board that the Giants with John Harbaugh could go 10-7 and even win the NFC East next year. In a very competitive NFC East, in my opinion, because I think the Eagles are going to take a step back a little bit, and I think Washington's going to get better than they were this year when they get healthy, and the Cowboys hover around that 500 area all the time anyway, so I could see a very competitive NFC East next year. And when you look at what the Texans have done with their pass rush, what the Seahawks have done, what other teams have done with their pass rush and their defense, teams winning with defense again, the Broncos, teams like that, don't be shocked that the Giants winning with their defense and having some kind of competent play on offense could be a lethal combination. Because do not forget how ferocious that front 4 could be for the Giants. Just give them something to play for. So, as far as the Giants go, as far as Harbaugh goes, this is a good move. I think this is the right place. Unless Josh Allen and the Bills' job was coming open, which it wasn't. But anyway, that's beside the point. Great hire there for the Giants as well. Because taking it from the Giants' point of view, they didn't have too many great options after Harbaugh. There was Kevin Stefanski, which I believe could be the next coach of the Steelers. That's just my prediction. I don't know. I don't have any inside information. But if the Steelers is one of the best jobs open, Stefanski could go there. I believe the Ravens are going to bring in a defensive coordinator. I think they'll bring in like Jesse Minter, somebody like that. Clint Kubiak was an option as well. But remember, with Clint Kubiak, he's currently busy in the playoffs, has an offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. And the Giants were ready to get a proven winner who was a head coach before, who's won a Super Bowl before. And that would be John Harbaugh. Only a handful of coaches have won the Super Bowl that are currently coaching. Harbaugh's won, Peyton's won, Andy Reid is the only one with multiple, I believe. Sean McVay. Everybody else I don't think has won a Super Bowl. Oh, and Sirianni. Everybody else I don't think has won a Super Bowl that is still currently coaching. I could be wrong. I'm not even really thinking about it that hard, so you can roast me in the comments if it's there's somebody else out there I'm not thinking of. But Harbaugh has the pedigree and the resume. Just things might have fallen apart between him and Lamar Jackson over time. Jackson Dart's a young player who will be more than happy to listen to his coach and run through a wall for him. I feel a lot of like last year's Patriot vibes when it comes to hiring the right coach in the right spot, but to a lesser extent. I certainly don't think they're going 14-3. But yeah, there was there's other guys out there: Brian Flores, Steve Spagnuolo, Matt Nagy. None of these guys are better than Harbaugh. So I think the Giants did the right thing, choosing Harbaugh over the rest of them, and then him choosing the Giants over the other potential jobs. I think it's a good match, and I think it's a great story. And I'll be looking forward to see what the Giants do next year, although I personally fucking hate the Giants and hope they suck a dick this year. But that's beside the point. Anyway, that's the news story. This is RJ signing out. Have a good one.